Hello, running a little test on sound mostly. Hello, running a little test on sound mostly. Perfect. Hello, running a little test on sound. And now muting because there's a loop. Perfect. Just one more test. Just one more test. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to the Luxury Division Season 10 Power Rankings. It will just be me today. I'm gonna keep it simple and I'm gonna keep it relatively quick. As you all right. Let me mute my phone, otherwise we get audio loops. I just keep the stream open. As I was saying, last season we didn't have power rankings because I wanted to do written ones, and then the writing was a lot of work, and they didn't happen. For me, usually logistics are the main issue with power rankings, like getting people together. So this time I'm just flying solo when I found like 30 minutes to an hour to do it. So here there will be very simple analysis of the drafts. This is my first time basically looking at them like fully. Like obviously I followed the draft, but I haven't really taken a look at the teams in depth. So let's get this started. First off, we have Hasegal's team, the bulky Ferrothorns. So mainly his team exists on some kind of hyper offensive mode with Chiyu Macro, Sandy Shocks. He elects the Chenpao for the Dragonite combo. Then he's got some kind of bulky defensive core in Tinkaton, Espatra, Towers, Aqua, Slowking, Galar, Arboliva, and Vivian. This team is definitely an interesting one. Obviously, there's this few lack of pieces that couldn't be acquired during the auction, like the Champa Dragonite combination. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad team. There's definitely some synergies here. Let's start by looking at the typings. We have Fire, Water, Grass in Chiyu, Tauros, and Arboliva. All solid mons, so that's great. We have Steel Fairy in Tinkaton, Dragon in Dragonite. Very nice. We've got two dark types. We've got a fighting type in Aura in Tauros and the psychic in Espatra. Some decent cards, right? So attacking wise, we have mostly special attack oriented, with as physical threats being the Dragonite, of course, and the Tauros. I don't know how I feel about Dragonite as a solo attacking threat, like without the Champow around. Like you kind of need to set it up to really pull it out the big damage, so this team might be weak to like Assault Vests and Snarl spamming. Of course, there's enough that can break through that, like Clear Amulet and stuff, but mostly a specially offensive team. Then we have this pretty pronounced weakness to Fairy, which I'm not a huge fan of. Like your only resist is nah. Tinkaton definitely resists Fairy. This is just the chart being weird again. Okay, so it's not that pronounced. It's still there, but it's not that bad. But normally, like Slowking being the main defensive switch in would be kind of iffy. I mean, it's obviously a defensive switch in, but you don't really put out the immediate offensive pressure back. Then there's also kind of a pronounced rock weakness. I'm not sure how you're gonna deal with that. Like Tauros switches in pretty well on that. Sandy Shocks doesn't so much, but also it's not that much of a problem because the rock types are few and far between. And then there's flying. Flying also pretty rare, right? And yeah, you're not often gonna bring like Arboliva and Pavilion on the field at the same time. So Sandy Shock is probably enough to deal with that. So all in all, I can see this team running a offensive mode with Murkrow, Sunny Day, Heat Waves from Chiyu, finishing up with Sandy Shocks, finishing up with Dragonite as the main mode. And then there's some kind of defensive setup modes, maybe with a Nasty Plot Chiyu, like Trick Room Arboliva, the Tauros for Intimidate. I'd say it's pretty solid. For now, we'll give this team I guess an A. Pretty decent value overall. And then maybe you can adjust later when I see the rest of the teams. Following up is the Arizona Relegators by Shogun. Right of rip, there's this very obvious trick room component with Among Us, Ursaluna, and Yuxi. There's kind of a fast component with Sneasler, of which I don't really see a way of proccing Unburden. Weirdly, this dog also doesn't say that it has Unburden, but it definitely does. Anyway, maybe some kind of like prankster shenanigans with the Morgrim. I don't know. This team, I don't know. It looks iffy, you know. There's this very jarring what's it called? Like contrast between the mode that wants to go fast in the Zoroark, maybe the Sneasler in the apparently Yuxi also has a hell of a special of a speed stat for a Trick Room setter, right? So I'm not sure how great that is. Type wise, we have double grasses, we have a fire in Moltres, we have the grass obviously, no water type, which is kind of sad, which also maybe, yep, definitely a fire weakness. Yeah, Ursaluna, of course, heavily hits fire, so that's not all that bad, I think. Also, the two poison types, the double ground type, it's not looking great at first sight. Also, Delibird is fake out and stuff. It's not a great one. Offense-wise, this team is mostly physically offensive, without any obvious measures against being intimidated, like Defiant or competitive mons, right? We have the Ursaluna, wants to set up the Flame Orb Guts and then start hitting hard. Still weak to, no, not weak to Intimidate because it still hits the root, but still prone to being intimidated cycled. Then we have a Morgrim which can set up screens maybe for Ursaluna. It is a pretty bulky mon. I guess this team to perform well will really have to count on Among Us with cycling it around, healing up your own team, redirecting the hits away. It's gonna be difficult in my opinion. I wanna take just one more look at this type chart because the lack of water type is very apparent also in the no ice type resist. No flying type resist with this Among Us is very dangerous. There's no steel type here, right? That's what else does what else resists flying? My type chart knowledge is lacking. It's like rock, maybe? I don't know. Rock also does it this team pretty hard with two 4x weaknesses. Delibird doesn't count. It's not common. Moltres though, definitely important piece. I am struggling to find things I I like about this team. It's gonna have to play very hard into the Ursaluna component because Sneasler likes the setup. Moltres is not that good on its own, neither are the other pieces. So I am just gonna go into the ratings and give this a B for bear in Ursaluna. I'm having a hard time putting it in F because of Ursaluna being there, you know. But we might have to readjust. Third up, Moss Deep Mimikyus by Ait or Alataya. They have this very solid, nice stat line. I actually didn't look at the stat lines. Wait one sec. 490, 5-3. Yeah, I mean, like 26 points over it. Very nice resistant charts, right off bat. The things that I see, right? You have the double water type. You don't have a fire type, which is not necessarily terrible on a rain team. You have the grass and the not the Mungus in the Brood Bonnet. Double dark. It's kinda alright because you have. There's not a lot of fairy resist. Klefki is not that amazing. So yeah, neutral damage from fairy is gonna be kind of a problem. You need to really keep this King Gambit around to deal damage to fairies. Maybe Overkill as well. Overkill is a decent one, though damage can be disappointing, as I found out in the Premier Ball Division this week. Either way, continuing. There's the very hard hitting mon in Lander's Eye, especially in rain. Uh, this rain Landers mode is something we don't really see all that often on ladder at the moment because of Urshifu, Rapid Strike, Aqua Jet, and sometimes the occasional Palafin. But of course, in draft, not everyone has that. So with not everyone having this priority water type move to hit his Landers super hard, the just a simple Tailwind and then spamming Sandsteer Storm is gonna hit very hard. Also, Best Collegian hits very hard. Damage wise, this team is mostly physically offensive. I have a hard time rating Farigiraf as a strong special attacker, which I don't really want to do. So the special damage is mostly coming from these genies here, which is not bad, but it's kind of predictable, right? You can kind of hit both of those with ice. Also, like Pelipper can spam stuff with Hydro Pump, Hurricane, pretty good. So yeah, overall I'd say this team type-wise, what do I want to bring against it? Well, Terra Ice, Terra Blast, maybe Ice Beam, Ice types. You can set up Trick Room with this Hariyama maybe and Klefki, and then you have what to hit. Oh wait, of course Farjev's one as well. It's a weird one, this team, speed-wise. You have most of these are like kind of mid speed with then some at like the higher end in these genies, but most of them are really kind of slow. The Brute Bonnet is kind of slow, Hariyama, Fargiraf, Klefki not especially known for its speed, Prankster of course. Pelipper kind of slow, Kingambit slow, Pescalegian needs rain to be fast, it says Rattled here, but it of course also has Swift Swim. Yeah, I don't know, speed wise, well Klefki of course is great, annoying as speed control with Thunder Wave. I can see it. It's kind of difficult for me to predict. I don't know. I'm not all that familiar with how weather plays in draft. Like it's heavily a team heavily dependent on the weather, but it's definitely got like this super hard hitting weather mode, rain mode specifically. What boxes does it tick? Steel, Fairy, no Dragon, not necessarily bad because it's already Ice type weakness. Fire is lacking, not necessarily terrible because of the rain, so generally I do like it, I think. Any further super obvious exploitabilities here? I wouldn't say so. With that, let's rate it. I will definitely say this is a... It's weird. I don't know how to rate this in relation to Hasselgal's team. Did I not switch back to this power ranking page during this whole talk? It's whatever. I am gonna rate this team as lower than Hasselgal's for now. Arizona Epsils by a Robopop. There's not a lot to talk about here because obviously everyone in the auction know what went down. It was a 191 point bid on Sylveon. Respectable. I love it, honestly. Like, put your money where your mouth is. And they did. They got that Sylveon. Let's see what else they did. Like, at first there's the Sneasels. And I'm gonna real quick check the Discord. Like, why were no trades made here? No trades were made here. Okay. So, double Sneasel apparently for reals. Which is, you know, in auction you can get better, which obviously is shown in the rest of these months, right? These are all 1 pointers. That's not bad. These are decent months. But is there synergy here? I have to look into that. There's no water type, which kind of... You forgot to drop a Sneasel. Yeah, I figured. It's cool. You're cool. With your typings, I would recommend keeping the poison one, maybe. Or maybe you do like... I honestly don't know if there's any difference between them, to be honest. That being said, the type charts. We have one fairy resist. We have two steel resists. Both are pretty decent, to be honest. We have one ground resist, which is Meowscarada, which with these defenses is not really a great resist. We have zero flying resists. Unironically, would I say Sylveon is the best mon on this team? Is it worth the 191? I don't think so. In my opinion, it's Cleavor. I love Cleavor. I think that one has so much potential, and I think building around that and trying to bring out the potential of Cleaver is gonna be key here. What does this team want? Desperately, some kind of speed control. Maybe a tailwind setter on the cheap. I don't know if Icy Wind from Sneasel cuts it. I don't know if Trick Room from Meowscarada cuts it. So we'll see about that. And then offensive wise, obviously this team is very physically leading, with the only special attackers being Delphox and Sylveon. Obviously Sylveon has great special attacking potential with setting up and pixelate, but there's not a lot of great variety here. Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff to be done though, I think. Like maybe flower tricking into your Tower Spaldea when it's anger point instead of intimidate, you know, get those crits, get those +6 attack rolling. Can be unstoppable. There's definitely potential here, but it's just, yeah, overall it kind of falls apart. So I'm going to have to move this to the F tier, I'm sorry. Next up is the Long Island Goomies and Silly Willy, and they took my water bear, the Urshifu. That's fine though, because look what they did with it. They made a team. Why is there a solo Dondozo here? Okay, I have not looked at these teams enough. Why I have no trades been made? I'm sure an offer has been made for like a Tatsugiri trade at some point, right? Maybe we got rejected just to keep them apart. That's fine. This team. No grass type for the fire water grass. There's no like redirect. No, I'm just swiping things in the duck. There's no like redirection. There's some fake out there with Sableye. There's some tailwind here, and here, and here. There's a little bit of roll over saturation, you know. I don't know if Sableye gets Trick Room. Does it? I feel like. Oh wait, does Frostmoth get Rage Powder? I'm not sure actually. I don't know. This team has a lot of issues. It has two amazing ones right there. Then it has Dondozo is Lexion's partner. And it has Carbink. Carbink is a Trick Room setter, right? I guess. It's a bad one though. Good defenses, I guess. There's some stuff there with like, what's the ability called that swaps defenses, or the move? It's just so difficult to talk about this team. Like there's just so many things wrong with it. Okay, let's just give a quick look to the type chart, right? One fairy resist, which is a flat Cinder, so no fairy resist. I'm gonna wipe it. No ghost resist. One psychic resists with this Sableye, which is a good one, to be honest. Type shot wise is just a lot wrong here. There's just too little potential, you know, this base stat total of 478. Like, even the Arizona Absols pulled out way more than that. Low speed. One decent special attacker. Frost Mode is fine. Battle Belts are fine. Two ice types here. I am gonna have to rate it because I'm running out of things to talk about this team on, and I'm gonna have to rate it lower than the Arizona Absols because I'm struggling how to see how this team kind of supports Urshifu Rapid Strike to do what it wants to do, or the Zapdos, or the Dondozo. It's just gonna be difficult. And I'm gonna be facing this team week 1 actually, so I might have to eat my words. We'll find out. Then we have the Chicago Cup Shoes, and I am going to rate this team in the S tier because it has my boy Wachan. Beautiful mon. I can't believe that fell so early in the auction and for so cheap. It's got a 4x weakness to U-turn though, so it's always difficult to keep alive. But let's see what he got around it, right? They have Landorus, Tyrion, Azelf, Corviknight, Typhlosion, Enamorus, Gyarados, Excalibur, Raichu, Tauros. Can we talk about how much of a pain Gyarados Watchen is? Thunder Wave, Waterfall Spam, Flinching, Leeching. It's so so annoying. Excalibur is a nice mon here. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of potential. Like, look at this base stat total: 547, 547. Yeah. Great special attackers in Azelf and Enamorus. Is Azelf a great special attacker? I mean, the stat is nice. It's decent, let's keep it at that. And then obviously, what's it called? Typhlosion has these huge ass eruptions. There's no really like priority speed control here. You just have like electro webs from Raichu, maybe fake out, maybe this slow tailwind, slow tailwind is probably fine because everything is so darn bulky here. Very bulky. We do have a bit of a rock weakness, with the only resist being Tauros. So I can see that being a little bit of an exploit people are gonna look for. Like, you can only Terra so many things when you have 4 flying types. I mean, at least Landorus hits them hard, right? Then we have 2 good fairy resist, so I don't think fairy's too much of a problem. Ice can be a little bit dicey with Typhlosion being your only switch in. Like, you'll have to want to. I mean, there's not a lot of good ice types going around, right? So maybe that's not much of a problem. And Namorous also gets Tailwind? Wow, I didn't know that. And Namorous is also strong, like the 135, like a Pixie Plate, Dazzling Gleam. That thing hits. Okay, well, there's enough of options here for speed control then. Like, how are you gonna stop a. Let's see, what's more bulky? Just given the right situation, like just protect your Typhlosion and Tailwind with any of these options, or Thunder Wave, or Electro Web, whatever, and then just boom with Eruption. I see the potential. I don't know if Azelf gets Trick Room. This team doesn't really, generally doesn't want Trick Room, but Enamorous and Trick Room is nice. Type wise, we have Fire, Water, Grass, obviously. Steel, Fairy, Dragon. That's nice. Fighting, Psychic, and Dark. Core wise, quite good. We have a lot of ground resist, of course. I don't think there's too many things wrong with this type job, to be honest. Like rock is obviously the biggest problem, followed secondly by ice, but both of those are pretty rare stab types, so they're gonna have to Terra if they want to exploit it. And Self does get Trick Room, also gets Icy Wind. I'm a huge fan of Icy Wind as a speed control option. I don't think it's all that bad, so I don't see the T Wave, not Ice Wind. Okay, yeah, Thunder Wave, and the Thunder Wave I'm less of a fan of personally. Even though it's good, it's so annoying. It's just bias. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so maybe if there's one thing I would like to see done better about this team is maybe flesh out the Trick Room mode more. Like drop one of the flying types. Maybe. Mm, I also don't really see anything I'd like want to drop like right off the bat. I think everything can work. So let's just see that. Let's see. I do think there's also one little issue in the fact that there's mostly physical attackers, and then you have as rune a Wochan, right? That's kind of self-hindering. And for that reason, I'm initially going to list this team above Hasgals, but not yet in S. Try to trade for bronze and for Corviknight. Yeah, that would have been nice. Yeah, I'm going to rate it high A because the base stat totals are insane and there's a lot of potential here, but not yet S because of the kind of anti-synergy that I believe is there with the Wochen. Um, I'll see how it turns out though. Could be good. Then we have the San Francisco Smeargles. So that's where the Tetsuki went. This team has this annoying setup mode with the Screamtail, Annihilate, Minister Snipe, Iron Bundle, the fastest speed control, and Regidrago. I'm a huge fan of Regidrago in this format slash series. It's just got so much damage potential, right? When it gets into like a perfect position where it can get an attack off without like being priority hit or just outsped. A full HP like Dragon Energy just does so much. And I think you have the tools for it with like Fake Out from Regidrago and Icy Wind here. Plus the Annihilate being annoying. Well, Tatsugiri is just here is kind of holding it away from the Dondozo, I guess. We'll have to talk about the elephant in the room though, which is this fairy weakness. Like not only is your only resist a I move things. Not only is the only resist a fungus, which is not really a resist, let's be real. Also 5 mons are getting hit for super effective, not just neutral, just super effective. So that's a big problem. How are you gonna be dealing with that? Well, I guess Terra Fire Annihilate most of the time. I think Tatsu is there purely so I don't have to play against those Giri. Respect and prayers to you, my man. We are all thankful. Yeah, but continuing, a problem I see is that of course people will want to bring fairies a lot against you, and it also automatically lessens the value of this Regidrago, which is one of the biggest damage potentials on your team. Like Iron Bundle is nice, but not really consistent with like Hydro Pump if you have to count on that. Same for Muddy Waters for water type. There's no fire type. Is it bad? No, because you have so many dragons and all kinds of other stuff that resist grass and the like. Also fire. That I don't think the lack of fire type here is necessarily defensively a problem. Maybe offensively. Flying is resisted by Kilowatt Roll. Poison by Annihilate. Yeah. Annihilate and Screamtail will have to do a lot of heavy lifting here. There's Tailwind. There's possible substitute by Shed Tail. or Icy Wind, Fake Out, Redirection. It's got all these tools, but all kind of like the B tier variant of the tools. Like Fungus instead of Amoongus. A person as Fake Out instead of something else. Anything else, like no priority. I feel like kind of where did the points go in this draft? I haven't really tracked it. It's good. It's decent. I'm gonna put it in the B tier. Let me have a quick look at Shogun's team. This is difficult, very difficult. If I could put them at an even place, I would. But instead, I'm going to put the San Francisco Smeargulls just tiny bit above them right now. For the reason that I feel like there's more like decent ones here. And it has this one base stat total difference. That's gonna be my deciding factor. I'm really a stat total guy, just so you know. I judge judge a lot based on that. Uh, I think stats win games. Now we have the Chillin' Chespins. This is a more loaded team, definitely on the upper echelons, whatever how you pronounce it in English. We have a pretty pronounced Ghost weakness is the first thing I see, but the rest of the type chart looks nice, right of rip. Very balanced stat line, good balance in physical attack and special attack. Nice, the perfect defensive combo here of the Goldango Hydreigon. Of course, the Cicareton Classico, the Talonflame Garchomp stuff. With other things you can Earthquake next to, like Levitators, Telepathy. Yeah, I can see it. It's got some kind of Parastrap, maybe, with Gotorita and Azumarill, and then the counter to Parastrap in general, with Goldango being immune to it, so could be Parastrap time at some point. We have Fire, Water, Grass, the Grass being the least here. We have Rain and Steel, very... That's good, that's solid. Iron Hands is just so strong. Hydreigon can become a decent Tailwind setter with Fake Out next to it. It's kind of very weak though, that mode. Goldango is... Oh wait, yeah, why do you need Tailwind from Hydreigon? You have Talonflame. I think this team has a lot of offensive potential and the defenses look solid. Good abilities, good mons, good value. I dig it. I don't know if Rotom Heat's a good one here though. I think it's kinda unnecessary. Like you have good potential fire type damage from Talonflame, good potential electric type damage from Iron Hands. Talonflame can Will-O-Wisp. What else do you want Rotom to do? Maybe set up with Nasty Plot. Well, Goldango can do that. Anything can do that here. So generally, I think Rotom can be replaced. So this draft can only get better. Maybe like pick up a normal type for another Ghost Resist or something. I don't know. Good draft. I think this will be my first S tier of the day. Just off of vibes. Let's compare real quick, just for me, this team and this one. I just wanna, like, just intuitively. I feel like Secret Redon's team has more like offensive synergy, you know. So Yeah, I feel like my choice is justified there for now. Okay, let's take this over to Ilyako with the mountain home Mawals. This is a weird draft. This is also one I kind of followed because we had a lot of discussions about trading and we had a lot of warring on this iron threads. In the end, how did it turn out? Firewater Grass in Arcanine, Greninja, Toad's Cruel. Steel, Fairy. No Dragon, that's fine. I feel like Steel Dragon Fairy is kind of outdated concept, maybe. I can feel a Steel Fairy and a hard hitter. Just kind of similar. Good stat totals. 541. Very high in speed because of this Lucky. But also, of course, the Ilya Classic Perish Trap mode in Gothitelle Gengar. Bronzor. What is the Trick Room mode here? Why do you need Bronzor? Bronzong. You've got to tell. What do you want to set Trick Room for? Just to have some kinda ability to switch it up. This team mostly goes fast. You have 3 Trick Room sets, by the way. Or 4? I don't know if Gengar gets it. Toad's Cruel, Bronzong. Maybe Gengar got it now. I'm just thinking, how does this team mainly want to deal damage by going fast? There could be more diversity in speed tiers. But overall, it's solid. It's a bit of a ground weakness. Toad Scroll decently covers that, Tornadus decently covers that. Let's see. Water resistance Greninja, not amazing, but it's pretty squishy. Also not very weak though, just 2 weaknesses. Dark. Very hard resisted by Iron Valiant, so that's fine. Also, I kind of never see you bringing Gothitelle and Bronzong. Maybe it's just Bronzong as like a solo Trick Room sweeper. Terra Electric, Calm Mind stuff, or Iron Defense Body Press. Like Bronzong is a one-man Trick Room mode here. This is just such a weird one to me. I don't think it looks great, just on vibes. It's got good stats, but I don't know. If I compare this to a Moss Deep Mimikyu, how do I feel about it? I would call both of those kind of niche. Not niche, but like very categorized. Like this is like a weather team. Hard, hard weather. While this is like a... God, what even is this category? It's speedy. For sure. Let's compare it to a San Francisco Smeargles. I definitely like it better than that, so I'm gonna go put it in the lower A tier. Next, Celadon City Jolteons by Odie in 99. We have this great photosynthesis sun mode in Walking Wake Torkoal. The super heat waves by Heatran. I don't know how I like Heatran here. Like just because of Torkoal also being there. Like I feel like ground will be such a target. Rillaboom is good to dissuade it though, at least the earthquakes. Why the fuck does Roaring Moon have a ground immunity on this duck? Like, like okay, I know it always terrors to flying, but that's kinda a lot. Pachyrisu's also a ground weakness, but not really coming all that often, I think, so that's not that bad. Zero fighting resists. A lot of fairy weaknesses, but of course Heatran is one baller of a fairy resist. This is a weird one. Got good stats, pretty good spread of physical and physical and special offense, pretty good defenses. Good mons, good abilities. We have this Trick Room mode maybe with Oranguru and Torkoal, the eruption stuff. If you do not come prepared for that, you're gonna get wiped. We got some bulk in Grimmsnarl screens. Pranks as support. We got some setup with Roaring Moon. I think this team got like a little bit of everything, but in a good way. It definitely has some kind of a bug weakness as well, but like with so much fire sun going around. I think fighting is this team's biggest problem. Because how do we hit fighting types? Oranguru? Is this where the Roaring Moon flying comes in? Probably. Yeah, defensively not the most solid. I feel like it relies a lot on Terra. Like you want to Terra Heatran a lot. Walking Wake is solid as is. You want to Terra Roaring Moon a lot, so those two are kinda not meshing well when they're brought at the same time. You have four dark types. Yeah, maybe lose the Umbreon, and find something to resist fighting. I guess maybe a ghost. Yeah. That being said, I still think this is a good team. Man, yeah, all these luxury teams are so weird to judge, right? Let's see. I like it more than this. I like it more than this. Both kind of weird teams. Which one would I see winning? Kind of the rain one, to be honest. Rest in peace, Rillaboom, Grassy Glide. There we go. Mid A. The Small of Garden. It's got Palafin. One season too late. Palafin is just not that great anymore. On ladder at least. I think it still has potential in draft probably. Decent stats. Fire. Water. Grass. Champloff is a mon for sure. There's no sun for chlorophyll, so its utility only goes so far. Like no super fast tailwinds, no super fast sleep powders. Redirection is always nice. You have a pretty good priority spam mode here with Shenpao, Caesar, and Palafin. I kinda like that. I kinda thinking about like general Palafin gameplay. Like you wanna lead it and you wanna switch it out. You want something to soak up electric and grass. What does that for you? Kudra does it well. Otherwise, it's mostly Jumpluff is kind of squishy. You also need to think about neutral damage, right? Jampo. I mean, Gudra's fine. I mean, the problem is that you don't want to create too much of a linear game plan where your opponent can see, oh, he's gonna switch out this Palafin into Gudra now. So I'm just gonna hit him with like a fairy, and then it's neutral to Palafin and hits Gudra hard. So that's kind of difficult, maybe. Just some sort of an impromptu sand mode even with Sandaconda Houndstone. Sandaconda is really not that much of a consistent sand setter because of sand spit. You need to hit it first and kind of squishy so it kind of dies. Houndstone is pretty good on the revenge sweep in last respect. Then there's this kind of out of nowhere Trick Room on to me. Heatherine. I guess to support Electros. Skeledirge can be pretty slow. Scissor is pretty slow, I guess. I guess there's potential for Trick Room. But it really wants to lean hard into enabling this priority spam mode. Typing wise, I don't really know the offensive coverage of water, steel, and like dark. But I think it's got pretty good coverage. I don't really see a type that's resistant to all of it. There's maybe some mons. It's mostly, yeah. Priority spam is nice. It's gonna be difficult to kind of deal with Intimidate though, because our special attackers are kind of setup reliant. Skeledirge wants Torch Song setups. Obviously, Hadrian wants Trick Room. Electros is kinda also wants Trick Room. Good Res is not so high as well, the stats. You don't really run weakness policy anymore these days, but still needs a lot of investment. So yeah, there's definitely potential here, but let's take a look at the type chart more in depth. Fairy's fine. Dark, resisted by Chempower. It's not that great. Flying. Stats are good. Stats are even better when you consider this a spell-off-in hero. I just don't like this half basically of the draft. It's tough. It's decent though. I'm gonna put this in high B. Now we have a moth on my monitor. Bugger off, son of a. You stay there. He's staying. He's a good moth. Now we have the Kansas City Kumalas by J.P. Koala. They have this draft with Urshifu single. Very high stat total, 545. And like considering when I see Urshifu and Salamence and Tyranitar, I'm surprised that actually special attack is the highest stat. How? I mean, this is kind of mixed. Iron Mod goes crazy. Spectrier. Damn. This team has a lot of hard-hitting mons. That's kind of crazy. Got Mousehold here for redirection. Like this team can just literally bring Mousehold plus any like super hard attacker and just run it through every week. Like just this team is a little bit weak to Dark. Let's pick Urshifu. This team is a little bit weak to Ghost. Let's pick Spectrier. This team is a little bit weak to Fire. Well, let's go with Iron Mod. I can see it. It's simple. Well, I mean, obviously it's more complex than that, but the principles are simple. Stat wise, this team is just so solid. I don't see a single mon here that I would be sad to have. Typing wise, there's this bit of a ground problem with these two. Resisted by Salamence and Serena, that's nice. But the ground definitely does look a little spammable here. Fairy, of course. Very much resisted by Iron Mods. Yeah, like yeah, it goes without saying that Fairy ground is good coverage, but here it hits especially hard because it hits 4x, 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 and then there's Tyranitar. There's definitely a team of Mew managing 4x weaknesses here. Aside from that, pretty good. They have Intimidate. Good luck protecting against this team with Urshifu on the field. Can't really priority spam it either because of Serena. Like, oh, you want to fake me out? Well, tough luck. Then there's this random kind of trick room component with slow king. I guess when another team gets it into his head, they can just outspeed it by setting their own tailwind, like a priority tailwind, and slow king can slow it up with Flodges and Magnazone. But anti-Renatar, I guess. I am not a huge fan of that component though. I think this team should just go hard and fast and hit hard, and then it does that well. I think offensive teams are generally can feel straightforward to prepare for, but there's definitely a lot of tricks you can do. I'm just gonna go into rating this team. Firewater Grace is a weird one. Still Dragon Fairy is a weird one. Core wise, I don't know. Offense wise, great though. I'm gonna put this below Cigarette on actually. Now we've got, oh, not this. Now we've got me, the Nijmegen Duskmanes, by Oxawave, and my draft has turned out weird. I am definitely one for looking at type charts. I want to make this look nice, even though it's not like great when you actually look at it in depth. I had such a hard time balancing this chart after getting these two genies. Like, tough luck finding enough rock resist to make this not look terrible, but then when you actually look at the mons, you can see that my rock resist is still pretty bad because it's Toxic Rogue and Copper, so it doesn't really count. Um, Also, my team is like a few parts Hisui. Zoroark Hisui, Arcanine Hisui, Samurai Hisui. These genies got some news. Oh, this bugs me. Why is Gudra spelled Gudra Hisui, but these are spelled Zoroark H, Arcanine H, Samurai H? Ugh. Well, as I mentioned before, I love stat totals. I have 553. I just love big stat numbers. That's win games. Um, Yeah, so what does this team do? It's got some kind of prankster contrary shenanigans in Anemoros and Thunderous. It's got some kind of bulky mode with Cresselia and Gudra Hisui. Like, Zoroark is just there for extra tricks and maybe resisting some ghost stuff targeted into these two, I guess. That would be cool. There's definitely some 4x weakness here that might be difficult to manage. Like this 4x bug weakness I think is actually very well managed because I have so many resistances to bug. I think this ground one might be a bit tricky because I don't really want Arcanine on the field with either of the genies, I think. Maybe some ally switch Cresselia shenanigans. Psychic here, like I'm not gonna bring Toxicroak often realistically, just a fake out bot. I don't really know how, I haven't played this team yet, so I don't really know how it will turn out. Like I don't know if this is actually good. My idea before the draft was like, oh, Anemoros Eye and Thunderous Eye is kind of like a Swiss Army knife of things it can do, like Annihilate Mousehold. There's a lot of options and it's kind of difficult to prepare for. So, but I'm still having to figure all those options out myself because I haven't played with it. I do run a Gudra Hisui from ladder. Very annoying to deal with. I can strongly recommend coming prepared for that. Please come prepared for Gudra Hisui. Don't pay mind to my genies, okay? Stat wise, I would say I have a solid mix of special and physical, but my physical side is definitely a lot weaker than my special side, in my opinion, even though it sets a higher number. Because if you really look at where my physical attack stat come from, you say, oh well, there's a good one here, but these ones often want to be special attacking, right? So these are all kind of wasted stats. Same on Zoroark. So really, when you actually look at it, my only physical attackers are like Iron Leaves, Arcanine, Summer with my Firewater Grass, and then Toxicroak doesn't really come, and then Celestia, Copper, right? So I think this team might struggle against like light screens. You don't want to snarl spam because contrary, but it's definitely a little bit of an imbalance in my position, in my opinion. How do I like this compared to Ilias? I like mine more. I'm biased, obviously, but I can definitely recognize. I think it's kind of on par with this, and maybe a little less than this. I'm not sure. It's definitely less than that. I'm gonna give myself above Odie and under Altair, which might be biased, but I kind of like my team. Difficult to just turn it off and not look at it as my team. So closing out now, we have Washington Waifus with Dale or Dale. I don't really know after all this time how to pronounce it. This is the Fluttermane team. Always with Fluttermane, I feel like Fluttermane kind of does need support, to really function. It kind of wants maybe some kind of fake out or redirection because it is squishy on that physical side. Does it have that here? Yeah, kinda. It's got some kind of redirection with Full Corona. Got some kind of tailwind. Got some kind of priority block. Very important because you don't want to get like choice band sucker punch out of nowhere and then die. Um, Also a weird hybrid though. Like a lot of these ones are like very bulky oriented. Like Garganacl in my mind, bulky, Kirsten bulky, Volcarona not necessarily known as bulky on the physical side especially, but once you get some quiver dances up it can be unstoppable especially. What does his team lack? Like a intimidator. Straight up. Worst stat, defense. Wanna protect my Volk, wanna protect my Flutter. How am I doing that? Like Iron defense, Garganacl doesn't cut it on that front. Am I missing something? Screens from. Does Noivern get reflect, for example? I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird one. Again, let's look at attacking stats. Special, 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 physical, 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 physical. That's fine. I think your special is obviously more like flushed out in the physical. Like Bisharp kind of wants to set up a swords dance. Doesn't usually go with a attack boosting item because it wants EV Light or Focus Sash. Breloom has a great stat in attack, but honestly it never lives like more than 2 hits. Moltres G I think is one of the most underappreciated mons in Regulation D at the moment. I think it has so much potential, but it just needs a lot of setup, and it kind of gets like Fluttermane, which is on ladder a problem. But here you are the one that has Fluttermane, so that's a lot of potential right there. I think this team to bring out the potential of Moltres really should have had like a prankster screen setter or just some more damage mitigation. Like Volcarona Rage Power isn't gonna cut it against a Rock Slide. Speaking of Rock Slide, this is definitely a rock weakness. These three are pretty good at dealing with it, but these are all your defensive tools. Not Breloom. Spore can be a defensive tool. Type-wise, Fire, Water Grass, good. Still Ring of Fairy, decent. Fighting, yep. Checks the boxes for me, pretty good. How do I see the offensive like rotation for this team? Keep your Fluttermane alive. Have it be the fastest thing on the field. Easier said than done. Like sure it's 135 speed, but Tailwind is very prevalent. Yeah, I think this team might struggle to keep its hardest hitting mons alive, is my concern. So, that being said, I think this team is a B tier team. Man, the more I look at this team, I kind of start disliking it. I don't know, man. I think it's better than this, at least. That I didn't mean to have that sound so condescending. It's just getting tired. This is taking longer than I expected. Now I know why people always host power rankings with multiple people. Talking for a long time is tiring. And I'm sure this all might not have been entertaining, but at least there won't be any whining this season. Ah, where's our power rankings? Here's your goddamn power rankings. There you go. Onto the wild sours. Drafted by Winter. First time auctioneer, things are difficult. They managed to grab Tinglu Glimmer, which is very solid, but then afterwards it kinda goes down in quality in my opinion. Like a lot of points were kinda wasted, I guess, on some ones like Balmod, Pikachu. Type wise, this is just not great. You have the triple electric here. Uh, I didn't see any trades. Like some trades could have been good here. Uh, yeah, I could have asked someone to co-host, but the thing is, my schedule. I explained it at the beginning of the stream. I hate trying to schedule, so I was kind of like, okay, well, I have like an hour free now before I sleep, so I'm just gonna do it right now, and I did. Definitely might look into co-hosting next season though, whatever. Back to this. You have the triple fighting type. You have also dark, so this fairy weakness is very pronounced. Your resist is the steel cat and Glimora, which is fine, to be honest, but I think it's still just a little bit too pronounced for those two to deal with it. Then you have pretty decent fire weakness. Also, Glimora is gonna have to do a lot of defensive heavy lifting on this team, now I think about it. And then it gets kind of taken down by ground, which you resist with all these levitated and flying types, which is pretty decent. I think defensively this team can work, but then also there's this like anti-synergy between Tinglu and Glimora, obviously. Tinglu does kind of like to spam Earthquake. Glimora does kind of not like to get Earthquaked. Glimora is a special attacker. Tinglu reduces special attack. What are you gonna have next to the Tinglu? Corcaval is good. Slitherwing is good. All are weak to Fairy. I guess it's Berserker then, which also you can't really Earthquake next to. You could, if you get in a position where there's no fairies, you could kind of Earthquake next to Slitherwing, I guess, that's resisted. Or just Stomping Tantrum. I don't know why I'm hammering so much on Earthquake. I just played a lot of Earthquake Tinglu myself, that's why I'm kinda biased. But Pikachu is kinda sad here, bro. It could be good. Articuno Keller has a lot of potential. I do like the stats on this team as well, generally. This is a weird one. I feel like there's too much exploitability on this team. Let's go over it one time. No fire type. Cross type is fine, but then tripled up with electrics. Steel, you have no fairy. Fighting, psychic dark is fine. Also weirdly a pretty huge psychic weakness, or maybe not weirdly when you have triple triple fighting and Glimora. Yeah, I think the defensive points are just too exploitable on this team. Like any kind of offensive thing you want to set up for yourself, it's gonna be too slow when you have like things they can target hard. So I think that being said, I'm gonna put it in the F tier. Um, hmm. What do I like better? Oh, not this. This. Is this gonna end up last, this team? Is this really gonna end up last? The Urshifu team, really? Yeah, maybe. Man, this is difficult. I don't want to be mean, but both of these are bad. They have like some deep exploitability. No, I actually do feel comfortable putting uh, this one in last, just based on the bad under everything under Tondozo. I do like this team better than that, but not than this, I think. Yeah, there it is. And now, last but not least, two-time auction king Junebug with the main red Clawitzers. They cooked something up, alright. They got something weird. They got this. Indeed, Armor Oak mode, but also with Tailwind from Tornadus. Dragapult, super fast. Glacier is just such a high, what's it called, like a divide between the two modes here. Like either you go super slow with Glacier into the Armorok, or you go super fast with Dragapult Tornadus. There's like almost no middle ground. I guess the middle ground is when you spam just headlong rushes with Great Tusk and have redirection from Indeedee to keep that safe. I could see it. There's some kind of Disquake mode here with Rotom and Great Tusk, that's nice. Yeah, this team is a weird one. They've got also good stats. 544. Got the Zapdos to disincentivize, intimidate against this Glacier. But to be honest, you have like Clear Body here. You can put a Clear Amulet one of those, and then you only have one weakness against Intimidate. So that's well dealt with. Oh wait, also Tornadus can also be Defiant. I want to see that at least 1 week. I don't see many options for like a tricky Aqua Jet weakness policy armor rogue set. I don't know if Best Legion gets it. Probably does. That could be nice. Let's see the types. No grass type. No fairy type. No dark type. And that leads into triple ghost weakness with the only resist being Indeedee, which is immune, so that's pretty fine, I think. I think ghost will definitely be great offensive type. Like once you get the Indeedee down, just hitting everything. Fairy is resisted by Ortworm and Armor Oak. That's fine enough. Is it? Like Ortworm's special defense is bad, right? So what do you want to switch into this big ass Wound Blast from something that's targeted into Great Tusk or Dragapult? Armor then? You don't really want to have Armor as defensive vision either. So I think Fairy is a problem. The rest looks pretty solid to be honest. Except for the Ghost, of course. Electric, is that a problem? Not really. Because this goes too fast. It's difficult. Attack spread wise, you have definitely more of a lean to the physical in Great Tusk, kind of Ortward, Dragapult, Zapdos and Glacier. Rotom is lacking in damage kinda without setup, but 105 definitely not bad. You usually wanna invest also with an HP, so that's always the Rotom dilemma. Tornadus is good. Like the damage with Bleak Wind Storm, when you have set up like a manual Rain Dance, really goes hard. Also, this gets Swift Swim obviously, rather than Rattled. So that's kind of a manual rain mode. I don't know about like having a manual rain mode when also you have big fire type attacker in Amarok. But also it does kind of keep Ordworm safe maybe, sometimes. Tornadoes also get Sunny Day, so there's definitely options for a manual sun mode even with Photosynthesis here. This team has a lot of attacking potential. Great stats. This is difficult. Yes, Ghost is definitely something that can hit him, but also he's got some fast ass ghosts. So, final switcheroo in the tier list. Do I think this team is better than this one? I think, in my opinion, not, because I can see over the offensive anti-synergy with Wochen and his physical attacker. Just fucking throw away the Wochen. Who cares? So that being said, I'm gonna swap this up to S tier, as I said I might at the beginning of the video. I am going to compare offense-wise to the Dragonites. Man, this is tough. For example, when I see Moss Deep Mimikyus versus Main Red Classes, who do I think I win? Who would I think would win? Hmm. It's both kind of similar. Oh, you want to get roasted, June? I don't have too many deep roys on this, to be honest. I could have gone a lot harder on some other teams, though. Ah, you don't have a grass type, June. You don't have a grass type, Junebug. You don't have a bug type. And you have bug in your name. What are you doing? This is hysterics. I can't handle this. I'm going to put you in F tier. Look at this. Look at this. He has no bugs. He has no grass types. There's great imbalance in his type chart. No, but seriously, I'm gonna do just one last compare. I think it's better than this. I think this is more imbalanced. So it's gonna pop right up there. And we have also created balance in the tier list like I like. So we end up plenty of ground immune though. Bro, who cares about ground? You need those grass types to resist Spore from Amoongus. That's all it that's important. Yeah, so we have in first place the Challenge Chespins by Cigaretta, and then we have Kansas City Koalas by JP Koala, and the Chicago Cup Shoes coached by Nightfront, the top three. Then we have this A tier, this B tier, and this F tier. I hope you enjoyed watching me breaking down your teams and breaking down over a lack of sleep. The analysis in some moments went too deep into weird things, and I probably lacked a lot of things. I probably missed a lot of techniques, right? So keep those to yourself and show me how wrong I was during the season. I'm looking forward to the season. It's going to be hype, as always. The luxury division is a weird one, and anyone can win it. Anything can go either way. So good luck, have fun to all competitors, and see ya next time.